Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. So CNN's Anderson Cooper, one of everyone's favorite people, of course, had a really interesting conversation with Cornell West, and he really went after him. It was almost embarrassing. Actually, it was embarrassing. I'm going to show you. But it really got me thinking, Cornell West, isn't he someone that we've always considered some sort of liberal champion? Why would CNN want to put him in a tough spot like that? And I think the answer, obviously, is plain. They are not at all interested in delivering the news. They want to keep their fingers on the scales of power. And a recent poll, it shows that 45% of people would consider voting for a third party, which means CNN is actively concerned, terrified, that Cornell West, champion of all great liberal causes, he's going to pull a Ross Perot and take votes away from Joe. We know that. And we also know this. No matter who you are, from the right, the left, the center, it doesn't matter who you are. If you go against whatever the peddled narrative of the day is, whatever the government, whatever the media machine tells you, the media, they're going to come for you. They're going to come for you. Let's have a look.
You've never run a large bureaucracy or had any major governmental leadership role. Isn't that important to actually governing as president?
Yeah. Who the hell do you think you are, Mr. West? Just look no further than the glowing success of Joe Biden. He proves that all you need is 50 years of government grifting to be a great president. Duh.
Oh, absolutely. I'd have to bring in people who are experienced, but the important thing is your vision and the lens through which you view the world. Policy is something that can be worked out in light of vision. If your vision is one of militarism abroad, then you're going to be preoccupied with wars and militaristic adventures.
And you got to wonder if any of these so-called journalists today really understand the role that they play. Do you think that Anderson believes he's just doing some good journalism here? Or do you think he realizes that he is literally acting as the mouthpiece and the guard, the police of the establishment, the thought police for the government? They think of themselves as some sort of liberal moral authority, but here we have Cornell West, a loved and esteemed Harvard professor, a champion of diversity, someone who literally lives and exemplifies every value that the left claims to uphold. He comes on the show talking about his vision for an alternate America, challenging the military-industrial complex, while still, saying all the regular old environmental activism stuff and, sticking with the importance of African-American voices, of which he is one. The guy is literally the dream liberal. And here's Anderson basically dismissing the guy, almost saying, how dare you want to be president? His answer was awesome, man. Not as good as RFK Jr.'s last night, if you saw that. He said the fact that he hasn't been in government is actually the strength, not the weakness, which was a great answer. And I totally agree. I believe he's absolutely right about that. But anyway, West says policies need expert consult and a democratic process. Says he wants people to vote on policies that directly impact their life. Pretty cool. Like going to war. He says, for example, speaking of wars, let's look at Biden's history. There's a war. There's not been a war that he hasn't supported. And that's one of the only points I really agree with West on. What the mainstream media always does, they present their viewpoint as the only rational and sensible one. The only possibility. You got to crawl all the way through mainstream liberal media narratives to uncover even any half-truths. These people peddle the same old government propaganda when it comes to literally everything. Endless foreign wars, pandemics, overseas shady business, anything and everything. They don't see that as a problem. They see anyone who would dare to question it. That's the problem. We're not the problem. You questioning us is the problem. What the hell, man? Orwell. These guys were so right back in the day, but we'll get back into the video. But before we do that, guys, please help us with the algorithm. Hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. Every time you do one of these things, a leftist loses their wings.
Do you really believe that NATO provoked Russia into invading Ukraine?
I would have abolished NATO right after the collapse of the Soviet Empire, and I would have tried to welcome Russia into the nation, the community of nations, rather than trying to push them against the wall.
Yeah, bro. They absolutely planted the seeds of this war, not to mention the American government basically installed Zelensky. Come on, bro. You know that, right, Anderson? And here's the thing. All West is saying is the same thing that a lot of sensible people are saying. The same thing Tucker Carlson has been saying. We just have to have a different approach to this war. We got to look at it from a different perspective. It has got to be about diplomacy and peace. And if Cornell West and Tucker Carlson are saying the same thing, it is probably the right thing. But no one wants to hear any common sense No one wants to hear any reason if it's not on the government list of things you're allowed to say. The media heads, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear what you have to say. And all they want to do is come up with reasons for their audience to not have to listen to you. Cornell West proves that literally no one is safe from that.
We know that their system of repression and domination is one in which they're going to feel as if their backs are against the wall. And I think you would probably agree that if Russia or China had missiles in Canada or Mexico targeting Washington, D.C., U.S. government would blow them to smithereens. That's how empires behave. You've read the history. I know the history. We're critical of imperial activity, no matter who it is, American, Russian, and what have you. But America is the most powerful empire in the world, in the history of the world, my brother. And it seems to me if we can't dismantle that empire in order to empower poor and working people here and abroad, we're going to lose our democracy. It's almost like Rome, it was Cato the Younger and Cicero against Julius Caesar.
So how cool would it be, man, to actually have a politician that looks and sounds like this guy? Yeah, experience and experts, they got a place, but their place is in support, I'm coming to believe, not in control.
Right, but there's
what happens when your empire begins to take over your democratic possibilities.
I just spoke to the foreign minister of Ukraine. We're going to have that interview later on. I think if you said to him, you're standing with the people of Ukraine in solidarity, and you're saying that they are just victims in this proxy war, he would say, you're out of your mind. They are thankful for NATO. They are thankful for the U.S. You can call it the American empire, but they are thankful for all these countries rallying to their side. I've been there. You've probably been there as well. It is a horrible. It's an invasion. Of killing of civilians in cities.
Oh no, it is a criminal invasion. I'm not denying it's a criminal invasion. But what I'm saying is, you go back to the men's talks. You go back to March, 1 month after the war began, my brother. I'm calling for ceasefire. I don't want to see the suffering.
You can call it for ceasefire. Vladimir Putin isn't really listening to what you say or I say or anybody says. He's doing what he wants to do.
Yeah, so it's common knowledge now to literally anyone who is paying attention that there was an opportunity for peace. There was a deal on the table, yet this war keeps being fueled, keeps being expanded, mission creep continues. Not because it's the best interest of the Ukrainian people or even represents their needs. If there are any benefits for them, they're secondary to the wants and the needs and the desires of the powerful. And the Ukrainian population and their military, of course, they're going to take all military support they can. And yes, Russia illegally invaded them. This is a terrible, illegal war. But guys, we got to step back and think, really, what's the game plan? What's the goal? What's the end game? Who benefits? And why do so many in the world seem to not care that we literally torpedoed a chance for peace so early into the war? We perpetuated this war, we allegedly. We got to ask, man. And let me know in the comments what you think, but is there a scenario where this deal, this war just continues on forever and ever until Russia finally calls it? They find, all right, Ukraine, you win. We're calling off the wars. You can have Crimea. You can have the Donbass. Our apologies. We're out. No, man, that is not going to happen. That is never going to happen. This ends only two ways. No one seems to care. Anytime people are seen caring, they get dismissed as some sort of Putin sympathizer or some sort of Russian pawn. But here's the thing, man. Just like us, Russia is a freaking war machine. They are willing to suffer. They are willing to continue for as long as it takes. And if anyone questions this, there is a million examples in world history that literally prove it. In recent world history as well. If they really are pushed into desperation, what do you honestly think that they will do? You don't sit on world-ending arsenal of freaking nukes forever. It's clear to anyone who is intellectually honest and thinking for themselves that this needs a diplomatic end. That is the only positive way that this ends. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on that.
You saw what he did to Grozny. You saw what he did to Grozny. In the 90s, he flattened that city. Civilians were trapped in that city. No, the world didn't come to the rescue of Grozny. He did exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah, man. If you ask me, it seems like the left has completely freaking lost its way. They can no longer sincerely claim that this is the humanitarian war, fought for the rights of people. The only people benefiting here are weapons manufacturers and investment banks. And it's sad to me to see Anderson Cooper, his dismissive attitude towards Cornell West. It only proves my point. These people are absolutely lost. You'd think that they would be all about listening to someone like West, an academic, a person of color, long history of liberalism. I mean, really impunable guy. And agree with the guy or not, he deserves respect, but instead he just gets dismissed. And, the really cool thing about West, he is always respectful no matter what. The guy is a genius, honestly. And he's intelligent enough to stand on his arguments and not attack people. He doesn't attack people. Can you imagine what it must be like to be him, to be as smart as this guy is, sit across from a weasel like Anderson Cooper, just thinking that they're smarter than you?
Unchecked, he will slaughter people.
Well, I mean, unchecked, he will slaughter folk. Unchecked, what we did in Iraq was slaughtering people. Unchecked, what we've done in other places. Unchecked,
but sir,
variety
Dr.
of
West,
other empires
Dr.
do
West,
that.
do
Nation
you really,
states do that, though.
No,
brother,
I
and
understand.
they're wrong. And when they're wrong, you have to pull up. You have to point it out.
I do think it's inappropriate to compare the Russian bombing of Grozny and what we witnessed there with the war in Iraq.
It's amazing, man, that someone in the news business could ever even say those words out loud. Bro, did you not watch the freaking Iraq war that every single member of our government lied us into? What is this fool even talking about? It is comparable. The only reason you wouldn't want to compare it is because it absolutely proves that you're on the wrong side of this new war.
I mean, to say that innocents are killed. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the horrible things happen.
Half a million Iraqis killed, my brother.
Well,
500,000.
Yeah, listen, I was there. I mean, I was there. I was there with troops. I certainly understand. I also saw a lot of Americans getting killed.
Yeah, bro. Americans died too. And honestly, Americans that never, ever should have been there. You say you were there. You were there. You know that this is true.
And I saw, the horrors of Saddam Hussein. I'm just saying I don't think it's accurate to compare the pummeling of a city by Russian artillery with civilians inside, pummeling every single day with the intention of just destroying and flattening a city, with actions the U.S. took. I mean, I don't know. Look, wars, horrible things happen in wars, and it's horrible.
War, that's absolutely. But I mean, and I know any comparative analysis of levels of barbarity and cruelty is going to lend itself to this ugly algebra of blood that we don't want to get into.
Wow, so this dude has absolutely got away with the English language. He's good, man. He's good. Can you imagine a debate between this guy and Joe Biden? You could put that on pay-per-view.
But all I'm saying is you can't just jump into a situation where people are being treated barbarically. There's no doubt that Ukrainian people are being treated in a barbaric way.
How tired are you guys of the same old tired BS narrative, man? Anyone who questions the war, anyone who has a different outlook on this deal, and the left just comes at you saying, oh, so you love Russia, huh? Oh, you like to see Ukrainians being murdered, I see. No, bro. That's not what I'm saying. And that's not what you heard. I think Trump said it best. We want people to stop dying.
That's that murderous way. There's no doubt about that. But the context is one in which that did not have to be if the expansion of NATO, and NATO is an arm of the American global power network. And I don't want World War III. I don't want World War III. The way that we're moving now, we got 3,000 advisors. Well, we heard that in Vietnam. We're on the way to possible nuclear exchange.
Man, the dude is absolutely right. We did hear that in Vietnam. We basically heard that everywhere. Afghanistan started with 1,300, ballooned to almost 100,000 troops. And anyway, guys, that's just my take. I thought you guys would find this interesting. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. And guys, please make sure to like, subscribe, most importantly, share the Common Sense Garage. We'll see you in the next one.